talk a little bit about how to get organized. We're on lesson 4, and this is all about creating a research log and getting organized with your work. So what we're talking about today is these things: research log, Noodle tools, how to use ManageBack, how to do your proposal, and what's due in the next week. And so this, I think, is where your brain might be at right now. You're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Maybe you're starting to be at the point of having a lot of resources, a lot of stuff, and your brain may be a little bit all over the place. And so what we want to do is help you get to this point in terms of how you feel in your head about this task. Organized, clear about what you're doing, where stuff goes, and kind of how to approach everything. The biggest part about the extended essay is just staying on track and staying organized. So one of the tools that I have found extremely useful is a research log. Why? It helps you track your thinking. One of the biggest issues we find is that students forget what they were doing last time because so many other things are happening during the week. And so even if you are an A+ kind of person who sets aside, every weekend to work on your extended essay, you still will forget what the flow of your process is. And so the research log helps you to remember, where are you in the process? It helps you set little goals for yourself. So you can say, all right, today I'm going to get this done in the next 2 hours. It helps you keep track of all the places that you've been in your search. You don't want to find at the very end that you've missed a source somewhere along the way. And so in general, it just helps you keep everything together. You can think of the research log as your mothership, like the place where everything is related to this task. I've given you the extended essay guide, the library guide. That is your mothership for all of the tasks and things that you need to do and all your resources. But that can actually live inside your own mothership, your own place where you're keeping track of everything. So I'm going to show you the log that I have created for you. I recommend that you use either the one I made or something very similar that you create. The first part of the log is like a little table of contents for the document. This is going to be a long document with lots of things in it, and so you want to have links to your resources and links to places inside the document right at the top. So you've got different kinds of note-taking templates, you've got your bibliography, your outline. Some of those things you're not working on yet, but they will be needed later. You've also got some of your resources there, places where your passwords are. We don't use Google Classroom here, but the timeline, those kinds of things that you're going to use over and over. The second part is the log, and this is like the ship's log. This is like star date, February 1st. Here's what I did, here's what I need to do, here's where I'm going. This will really help you through the process. It doesn't take long, but it forces you to stop and think about what you plan to do in this hour that you've just set aside for yourself. So you put the date, you put what am I going to do. After you finish, you go back and say, what did I get accomplished? And then what do I need to do next time? This way, a week from now, or who knows, 2 weeks from now, you can read where you were and remember what needs to come next. Many people feel, I don't need this, I want to skip this part, it's annoying. Try it. Try it out and see. The other great thing about using a log is that when it's time for you to write your reflections, you'll have some documentation of your own thinking. And the best reflections are ones that are specific to your exact process. So I highly recommend doing one of these little logs every time you start a work session on your extended essay. The third part of your document is your note-taking spot. You're not going to work on that right now. I'm going to show you what it looks like, and we're going to talk about it much more later. Do not take notes yet. You don't have your evidence yet. If you start taking notes right now, you will be wasting your time. The best time to take notes is when you have sources gathered that you know will provide an answer to your question. So, happy news, right now you are not taking notes. But I want to show you in your log where that section is and how you might use it later. Finally, at the end, you'll have a place where you're starting to do some writing. So you'll have a place where you can put your annotated bibliography, a place where you can put your outlines. You'll talk to your supervisor about what are the parts of my paper going to be, what are the headings, and you'll start to fill in some of your evidence as you find it from your notes. So it's a workspace for you at the end of the document. Again, it comes later in the process, but just because it's coming later doesn't mean we put it somewhere separate. We keep it all together right here. Okay, so I want to show you a little bit about what the research log looks like. So let me come back over here. This is the template in Google version. I also have a Word document version for you if you prefer that. You'll make a copy of this and name it your own name. And then let me just show you all those parts that I just talked about. Let me just show you what they look like in the log. So anything that's in red, you can delete whenever you want. It's directions for you for how to use the log. And once you get the hang of this, you can delete anything that you want to. This is your document at this point. So I've suggested some links here that might be helpful for you, but you can certainly add others. These up here are internal links that go to other places inside the document. If you know how to do that in Word, do it. I didn't know how to do it in Word. Here's a sample entry for a research log, and then there's an empty one. Every time you start working on your extended essay, you want to copy this little table and paste an empty one and type into it. Keep an empty one all the time so that whenever you start working, you have a quick place to pop in your thoughts. The real thing is you don't want to work on your extended essay for less than an hour at a time because honestly, it's just too big of a thing in your brain. So if you have an hour and you're going to say you're going to work on it, take a few minutes to get yourself organized at the beginning of that hour so that you're making the most of your time. So that's the log. Then we get down into the note-taking section. We're going to talk about this later. I'm going to explain this whole section to you later. Have a look at it if you want, but these 3 templates we're not going to get into today. Okay? All of that is for later. As well, this kind of production space, this workspace, we'll talk about later. You will do an annotated bibliography. You might decide to do it in Noodle Tools and paste it here. That's fine. We'll talk about outlining later. This is the place where you'll do it. You're going to do 2 types of outlines, a basic one and a detailed one, and those will happen before you go on your summer holiday. So that is the research log in general. It's going to become huge. And so you want to use this bookmark area to make sure that you have ways to navigate inside the document. Okay, so you're not spending your time scrolling forever. Okay, back to the slides, and I want to show you a couple of things that we're going to need to understand about ManageBack. So in ManageBack, I'm sure you know that you have your very own extended essay tab for yourself. Okay, so one thing you're going to do is in your ManageBack extended essay page, you're going to go to the Researcher's Reflection space, and that's where you're going to put a link to your research log. the template that I've given you or another document that you have designed. It doesn't matter to us what program you use, but it needs to be live so that if you have a question about something, I can look and see your progress so far and, help you out. So make sure that you have a live link to your research log in that section. Here's the links to choose which template you want. Now I need to talk with you about Noodle Tools, because Noodle Tools is a really powerful way for you to stay organized. So the best reason to use it is because it tracks your sources. It also will make your works cited page for you at the very end, and there's no reason for you to have a major issue with how to do that. Noodle Tools will do it for you. The other thing is you can use it for taking notes if you want, if you like that feature. You can create little goals on the dashboard page. You can include in the annotation section a little note about each source. That can be a note to yourself. So you put the source in and then you make a little note about, oh, this is good for my procedure section. And it helps you remember what your sources are. You can also do that on your own, but many people are already using Noodle Tools, and so I recommend continuing with it if you like it. Okay, in ManageBack, there are several sections that you need to know about. There's the worksheet section, and that's where we can write messages to you and your parents if there's an issue. That also provides an overview for your supervisor, and it's a place where you will post any of your submissions. So if you have submissions that need to go into the Dropbox, you'll also put them in the worksheet. I will tell you in the assignment exactly where to put everything, but I just want to let you know right away there will be duplication. You'll put it in the Dropbox and on the worksheet. Why? Because that way your supervisor can see your documents in one place. As you may know, the Dropboxes are organized by date, and so your supervisor would have to go back and forth to all these different dates. So much easier for your teacher to see all your extended essay submissions in one place. The researcher's reflection space, it's a bad name, it's really a research space, and what I would like you to do is put a link to your research log there. That's what we were just talking about. Assessment, that tab is only for your supervisor, and there will be nothing there until the very end. The planning and progress form is actually for your reflections. So when you go there, you'll see spaces where you will write in your reflections. It keeps you to the word count. You want to fill that box as much as possible so that you have good full reflections there. If you are doing your extended essay in Chinese, you must write your reflections in Chinese. The other thing we're going to try to do in the next several days, February 8th, I think is the date, you're going to put in your extended essay proposal as of now. We want you to get as close as possible to some kind of a specific topic and subtopic. It will change, and that's okay. That's part of the process. But we want to see you getting narrowed down right now, this next week or so. And so how do you do it? You go to your worksheet space, and you click this extended essay proposal button, and you'll get a form, that looks like this. You put in your subject, English, chemistry, whatever it is. You put in your topic and any subtopics. So English, dystopian novels, use of propaganda, use of language of propaganda in Animal Farm and Brave New World or something like that. And then if you have a question in mind, you can put a research question there. If you don't have a question in mind right now, that's okay. In fact, that's quite normal. I kind of think it's good. You really won't have your question until you start seeing the information in your sources. So I don't think you have to put a research question in there. If you do, you can put a period and just skip that box, because we will get to that later. In the notes section, you can write a little note of anything that's on your mind about your topic. Who's going to see this? Mr. Ortner, me, and your supervisor. So this is a place for you to tell us a little bit about your thinking right now. If you need help with something, just contact me directly. This is a place for you to put down what you're thinking about your topic. It's a place for you to kind of shine a little bit and have some good ideas. Where it says supervisor, you may choose a name there. It's a drop-down menu, and you may choose one of your teachers. You are not guaranteed to have that person as your supervisor. We must make sure that the supervisors have an even number of students as much as possible. And so we will be deciding who your supervisor is. However, if you have a first choice of a person, you may choose the person right there. The supervisor will get a little pop-up with your information, but Mr. Ortner and I will be the ones deciding which students have which supervisor, okay? If you have any questions about that, come see me, because it is important. You're choosing a supervisor that you would like, but not necessarily the supervisor you will have. Okay. All right, next, these are the things that we've done so far. We've had a work day. Hopefully you found it useful. Let me move this. Here is the code that I'd like you to scan. I would like to hear a little feedback about the day.